Could you speak up?
So what I'll do is, all right, if you want to call the meeting to order. To call the special meeting of the town of Waterford to order on January 8th, 2024 at 5:15. This will be an open meeting, and I would like a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. You have a motion, please.
So moved.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're now in closed session.
Okay.
Yeah, I would, yeah.
Yeah.
Just wanted to be clear.
Yeah, we just need to make it clear to John if he's doing this scheduling with backfilling.
Yep.
So, okay.
I would say as long as your hiring process is complete.
Yes.
Yes,
Right.
yep.
So this is the last thing, this is,
All I needed was the,
All right, thank you.
go ahead. Thank you.
okay.
All right, thank you, Sarah. Thank you.
Welcome aboard, Sarah.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'd like to call this meeting of the town, Waterford Town Board to order, January 8th, 2024, 5:30 PM. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Anyone wishing to make public comment, please make sure you fill out a form, bring it up front, and please come to the microphone up front. No talking at the seats. Please, everyone, talking one at a time. That goes for us up here and you out there, because it's really hard to decipher for the minutes later who's saying what. One at a time, and please come forward with your sheet. First of all, we're gonna start with the approval of the town board minutes dated December 11th, 2023. Special meeting minutes dated December 12th, 2023 and December 19th, 2023 as printed. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve as printed.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay, go to approval to pay claim treasurer's report. General checking, we have $89,242.25. Tax checking, $2,754,575.96. General operating money market, $779,957.42. Say that 3 times really fast. Reserve funds, $1,464,820.43. Undesignated ARPA funds, $184,614.11. And I know that Heather did everyone get the email that Heather sent over for the claims? Kind of at the
additional
last
bills?
minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, do anybody with questions about anything? Well, I just want to make one remark. We were, a little over, as far as outside legal counsel last year. A lot of that went toward, police contracts and things like that. So we really need to make sure that we're following policy and we're doing things right the first time. So we're not getting in situations where we're spending too much money on that. So anybody else? Any questions? I need approval to pay claims, please.
I'll move to accept the treasurer's report as printed.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Francois, we have you first, so you don't have to wait and get caught in the snow. Thank you for coming. I know that you want to talk about the referendum, and I've heard a lot of things, good and bad, so I'm glad that you're here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. It's great to be back before the board again, and I appreciate your time, and I'll be brief as I know your agenda has other things on it. Just want to reintroduce myself as Luke Francois, the superintendent at Waterford Union. And I'm here before you tonight to share with you a little bit of information about the upcoming 2024 referendum that is on the ballot February 20th. Specifically, as elected representatives of the town, you might get questioned a lot about what is this referendum, what does it entail, what is the cost, those types of things. So I want to be very brief in my overview, but then answer any questions that you might have. So if I may begin, first of all, just the history of our referendums. We have probably about $150 million worth of infrastructure, building, capital buildings and grounds, mechanicals, HVAC and so forth. Over the past 3 decades or 30 years worth, we've had 3 referendums, each worth $10 million that have passed in this community. So I think there's a lot of misconception that we've had all these past referendums and all these dollars. A total of $30 million over 30 years to try to keep as much infrastructure as we have up and running has not been a significant amount to my specifically, there's 288,000 square feet of building there. You think about that as 144 2,000 square foot homes. That's a significant amount of infrastructure to try to keep up and to keep maintained in today's fiscal times where both municipalities and school districts are under revenue caps. So, with that, we had tried a referendum to address our infrastructure. 2019 specifically was the last referendum we had. It was 20 years prior that we had passed a referendum. So that was the first referendum in 20 years. That 10 million did address some of the most important infrastructure needs that we had at that time. But it didn't address a lot of the infrastructure that was left to be undone. And specifically inside of that project, I learned that there were a lot of other things that were behind the walls and in the ceilings that was never exposed and never addressed. And there really wasn't a comprehensive 10-year facility plan to address these needs. It was being addressed almost as we go. When something would break, we would fix it, no matter how small or how large. We needed to get ahead of that and be proactive. The idea was that it's much less expensive to fix it if we can bid it out with good contractors coming in, knowing the scope of the problem, rather than an emergency truck stopping in front of the building to fix something on the spot. So with that, we did some planning, we did our due diligence. We now have a 10-year comprehensive plan. We tried to break that into phases and chunks over time in our first referendum in 2022 or 2021, 2020, 2021. That was just the bare bones infrastructure needs. And unfortunately that passed. The second one in 2022, last April, that one also failed. It had some remodeling of Mapleview included in there. And so we needed to rethink about how we're going to present this next opportunity because the infrastructure needs that we have had has not gone away. In fact, it's become even more of a situation for us as we put between $50,000 and $300,000 a year, every year into just fixing old equipment and keeping it running. That's dollars that we could put right back in the instructional classroom, but we're deflecting it into maintaining old equipment. We'd rather get that up to speed, under warranty, and running much more efficiently than what it is. So this year in 2023, what we did is we approached this differently. We put together a community task force. We call it a community action committee. It was 40 members strong, and between those 30 and 40 members, we met over 6 times over 4 months. They came together time and time again to learn everything there was about the questions about the previous referendums that had been asked in our community. They learned about the history of our referendums. They learned about the consolidation efforts in the past that some of you might have lived through. They learned about state funding. They learned about our school financing. They learned about our maintenance budget. They learned about the facility report and the 10-year condition report. And they toured the building and they saw firsthand the things and the needs that needed to be addressed. That is a community that looked at every option from just fixing $10 million worth of things at a time over the next 10 years and coming back with $10 million referendums, or coming back with one large high school and building a brand new facility and everything in between. What they landed on was what's before you tonight, what I want to share with you, which is what they believe is the best solution to address our schools once and for all and bring a comprehensive facility plan before you. If I'm going to highlight, there are, I think, 3 major bullet points that I want to make sure that you take away tonight. The first is that this referendum expands our technology and education opportunities around the careers. Specifically, it expands the automotive area. It expands our metals and welding areas, and it expands our manufacturing areas and construction and so forth. These are areas that we're making pathways for kids to get right into careers. They're places where we know we have a great opportunity for kids to have a career and make great money, but also fills a humongous need in our community and around the state for that matter, with people that just aren't there right now. When we want to get a deck put on the back, of our house, for example, it could be months before we can get somebody out there to actually do the work. Because they've got enough work, and usually we pay a top dollar to get them there any earlier. So we want to create more pathways for kids to help fill those needs. Secondly is we know from 2 referendums ago, the same projects that we put out there 2 years ago that are still before us that have not been completed are now more expensive than they were. If you think about the backload and the shipping and now the construction rates that have increased for 2 straight years, the same project that we could have done cheaper now costs us more. And we know that it is going to continue to increase in cost year in and year out. Very seldom does a project cost the same next year or less. It will probably cost more. So it's a significant opportunity for us to address this once and for all at the least cost price to the taxpayers as possible. And lastly is we're really proud that we're ranked the #1 high school in the state or in the Racine County area. And that is not just in the county, but across the state. We're a top 15% high school. We score very well in our performance, and we want to keep it there. We want to maintain that high reputation of excellence, and part of that is through keeping our facilities up to speed as well. So on the ballot, there are 2 questions. The first question addresses some of those failing building systems. It really looks at raising a part of the Maple View Elementary building that we acquired in 2000-2001. When we acquired that building, basically we acquired the building as is. We covered the center street and connected the building to the high school, and we built an auditorium. But there were no dollars at that point scheduled to do any maintenance or repair of the building that was erected in 1960. And it looks very much the same as it did when many of you may have gone to elementary there, or those in our community went to elementary there. It has not changed much at all. And there are very unusable spaces in there that were built for elementary kids, elementary cafeterias, elementary spaces. Those would come down and we would re-raise that with the tech ed area. We would enhance our safety and security with a loading ramp that no longer leads us to prop doors open to get food in and out of our building. We'd actually have a loading dock, and we would address our AD accessibility. As you know, the elementary up to the top of the high school is built on a hill. And we have 4 different transitions, and the lowest of those transitions is in the Maple View area. We'd like to raise that building physically up so that we can eliminate some of the corridors that cause us to have lifts or small elevators to get students with crutches or our seniors or our kids with wheelchairs up into the next level of the building. The second question does much the same, but it's our outdoor facilities. It addresses our ADA parking and permanent restrooms are finally going to be brought into that athletic site. Right now, we use porta potties. Many of those are not ADA accessible. Repairs a lot of the things that we know have been a problem for us. There were softball fields that were located in the lowest part of the village in a floodplain. All the water drains to that before it drains out of the village itself. And we need to know, in order to fix that problem, we simply need to move it to higher ground. There are some other needs across the building with regards to, we know the track is at end of life. It's been 10 years. We're going to replace that. And as long as we're inside of that track area, we'll address some of the throws and jumps areas that are outdated and need some extra attention as well. Overall, you've got a map of the building. The light green areas are areas that would be considered new construction. So that does add a CTE wing or career technology education wing, where that's the automotive, manufacturing, metals and welding. It takes down a portion of the oldest portion of the Maple View building and rebuilds that to make it a workable, livable, usable, modernized space for high school students rather than elementary students. And then on the second level, there is the addition of a right-sized gymnasium. When we tear down Maple View, we will be taking down one of the gymnasium spaces. We call it the Maple View Gym. It's kind of funny, 20 years later, we still call it the Maple View Building, the Maple View Gym, even though it's been a high school for over 2 decades. That gymnasium comes down. The gymnasium does not have bleachers in it. It does not have basketball hoops in it. It's not really a gymnasium at all. It's a tile floor that was used for cafeteria and doubled as an elementary space for gym class. It never was meant to be a true high school gymnasium. So that's what we mean when we say right size it. You would normally have the ability to host a basketball game in it with legal court size. You'd be able to put some bleachers in it and have parents or spectators be able to watch that, whether we're hosting it for a youth event or a high school event. The second is the Center Street Gym, which was a large space. Again, it's not a wood floor in there. It's a rubberized floor. It's used for a gymnastics program. It's the only program that I've witnessed across the state that can't host their entire gymnastics meet in that gymnasium because it's not large enough. It was not built for a regular sized high school gymnasium. It was meant to enclose a large space across Center Street and then use it for a space like gym but it's not an appropriate sized gym. So given those two parameters that are coming down and being rebuilt, we need to bring 2 more courts or more back to life. We are not proposing to go back with a field house concept. That field house concept has been before the community before and it's been rejected. What we are proposing is to have a competition gym that's appropriately sized for us to have high school competitions and be able to hold out of site community events such as graduation, for example. We limit the number of people that can come in. When we have our all-school band festival and we bring all the feeder districts into the one space, it is standing room only, extremely hot and not very comfortable place to be. Our Veterans Day Assembly, we could do more with if we had more space, but when we bring our student body into one space, there's very few places for our spectators and veterans to come and honor those. So those are things that when we talk about rebuilding a gymnasium, I want to be very clear, it's not a field house and it's replacing spaces that are going to be coming down in their oldest section of the building that aren't very usable. On the outside, you have, again, I mentioned the first time we're gonna bring water and sewer to that location. That is an expense, but we believe in today's world, you would never build a new high school or a stadium and have it be functioning with porta potties. It is automatically assumed that you'll have running water, sewer, and so forth for your patrons that come into that space. We'll be expanding parking adjacent to the soccer field. We'll be adding handicap accessible parking for those that may have parked around the school. If you're a handicap accessible person, you're coming from the upper lot down a slope that is not handicap rated for the slope that they would be coming down, or you're coming a great distance from the baseball parking lot. This would be adjacent parking right to the soccer. The relocated softball fields would be coming up to higher ground and right next to the adjacent to the football field and or spaces for track and so forth. All of this then brings us to what I consider a very significant investment in our schools, a significant investment for our community. We continue to open up our facilities for our community. The fitness room right now has a membership that you can have if you choose to use the fitness center that was recently built for the community. We know that this is a great project that's going to take care of our 10-year plan. So much so that we've priced it accordingly and done our very best to keep the costs in alignment. The average home here around a $400,000 home would be $33 per month. That would be the tax impact. And I will be very careful to say that's a number not to exceed because we need to make sure that the community builds trust in us and that that number is something that we actually can deliver on. A $300,000 home would be $25 per month. A $500,000 home would be $41 per month. The board has also taken some significant action, which I've not seen, and I think it's unprecedented, that says we know that we've gone through this building multiple times. These are the things that need to be addressed. And if they are addressed, the board took formal action in a public meeting and said that we will put a moratorium on any other bond referendums if both questions are passed. That bond moratorium would be for 12 years. They believe that this is 10 years plus before we'd even need to think about coming back to the community, and they're willing to put that in writing, and they took a formal position on it. I anticipate that it's gonna be much longer than 12 years, but they've made that commitment as a board to make sure that the taxpayers who have been feeling a lot of referendums coming at them can finally get a break, and we can pause on the high school and make sure it's ready for use in our community. So with that, I'm going to pause the presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I want to thank you for your attention and just be a wealth of information, whether it be tonight or it be beyond. You can always reach out to the high school district office and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you're receiving.
So, board have any questions for him?
Please clarify that you said if both questions pass, it would be that 12-year, okay.
Correct. Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you. And Mr. Francois, if anyone has questions or they want to talk to someone about it, what's the best way they can contact someone?
Sure. So first of all, there's a wealth of information on our website. So if you go out to our website under the referendum tab, a lot of the information, the slides and so forth are all available to you through the website. You can contact me at the district office. There is a phone number. It's our 534, it's 9059. My email is also pretty accessible, but it's Francois at Waterford Union High School, WHS.US. And just stop on by and we'll schedule an appointment. My assistant Connie sits right inside of door number 7, lucky number 7, off the lower parking lot, just by the electronic sign. Anytime that you stop in there, she can schedule an appointment. And if I'm available, if I'm there, I'll drop everything and meet with you on spot. But if not, we can schedule an appointment and I'm happy to answer any questions that any community member might have.
I'd like to bring up one more thing while you're here, just so the community knows. the high school is putting on a few different times where they help people with technology. So like people like my mom would love to go there and learn how to use her phone. I think they had something at the high school, and I think there was talk about maybe going to nursing homes or something like that.
Yes. Yeah, so thank you. We have a wealth of information on our, and dates on our calendar where we are getting out to the community and doing some goodwill efforts, as well as just opportunities for you to come in and meet. And if it's not comfortable for you to come into the high school, I will be at the library here in the village at both Rochester and Waterford. I'll be at McDonald's. We're gonna do it tomorrow morning, but with the snow imminent, we're gonna push that out to next week. I think it's Thursday now, but all of those dates are able to meet me. DW Coffee is another place that I'll be available, where you can just drop in and just ask a question or get something answered. And then we'll continue to make sure that we're reaching out to the community and being a good steward and supporting those that support us. So thank you for that as well.
Thank you. Oh, yes, Mr. Horn.
If I may, sorry about that. Not trying to say to take a side for or against it at all. I would just encourage certainly the board and encourage any of our residents here to visit the school, take Luke up on his offers to be able to firsthand see what he's referring to. I was a part of the Citizen Action Group, and I can assure you that being able to see it, touch it, feel it, smell it yourself is an eye-opening experience to understand exactly what it is that they're looking for. So again, not trying to take a side, because I know there's a lot of input to that. But I have to tell you that once you see this firsthand, you get a much better sense of understanding where they've been, where they are, and where they're trying to go. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Horth. And actually, I'd like to add to along those lines, be careful of what you read on social media, right? Again, go to the source, always go to the source. And go take a look, go talk to Mr. Francois, talk to people at the high school, form your own opinion. So thank you.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for closing school tomorrow.
Yes, all the happy answers.
Thank you.
You bet.
All right, committee reports, police department.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This report is for the activity in our police department for December 2023. We were assigned a total of 192 calls. After 13 calls where no officers was assigned, and we had 192 crime preventions and 57 building checks. We had 86 traffic citations, no parking citations, and 46 warnings, 2 misdemeanor cases, 7 ordinance violations, and 1 felony arrest. For warrant arrests, we had 0 accident reports. We had 4 property damage only, and one domestic abuse call. The significant events we had in December were we had the Christmas parade. I think there was about 2,500 people or more well attended. We didn't have any issues. We had 16 staff. So that's it. Any questions for me?
I know that it wasn't last month, this month. I'm just curious, on New Year's Eve, how good or bad was that around here as far as driving and drinking, and was there?
We didn't have any issues with any more than any other night. The last 5 years, it's been really, the community's been pretty calm when it comes to New Year's Eve. We did put a extra car on just in case, but
I did notice too that a lot of places closed at 10 instead, yeah, so that maybe can help too, so.
Yeah.
All right, just curious, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next, Officer Ferger. Request to utilize police contract education incentive. Did you want to come up front?
Sure.
We received your letter. I think everyone also has a copy of the contract, the article, section 2202.
Yes.
So you're looking to go for some classes, for some schooling, and would like reimbursement. So I'll let you talk.
I don't have quite the presentation that Luke's one, Francois had, but I'd like to go and get my master's degree in public safety administration. I'm gonna go to the same school that I went to for my undergraduate, which is Western Illinois. The cost for tuition is fairly reasonable compared to most schools for a master's degree program. I believe the total is around $16,000 for the entire program. My intention is to try to finish it in 3.5 to 4 years, so it'll be a little longer than the usual 2 years that most people do it in, just because I'm working. So I think on average, I'll probably do 2 to 3 classes a semester, which would be about $3,000 a semester to the town for reimbursement. Hopefully by doing this, it'll better poise the department and myself to be in a leadership position later on down in my career. So,
Okay, I'll give it. Anyone has any questions or comments? I'll let you go first. Anyone? Robert? Doug? Gail?
Yeah, I've given this quite a bit of thought. 2201 says desire to participate in educational programs. Not an advanced college degree. You're currently a police officer and you're seeking to complete a master's degree in public safety administration, which I don't see as directly related to your current position as an officer. The town is in financial straits, based on our levy limits, the town was only able to raise taxes this year, $11,000. I mean, that's it. Spending that much money for a single officer's advanced college degree seems unreasonable to me. The town has run a budget deficit for the past 2 years. And even this year with a $174,000 increase in shared revenue, we'll still run a deficit of between $130,000 and $180,000. My interpretation of this would be that this benefit should apply to job-related continuing education classes, not advanced college degrees. And I think advanced college degrees should be the responsibility of the employee, not falling on the town taxpayers. So that's my thought.
Thank you, Dale. Tim, anything?
I have nothing. Can we address that comment? So Officer Berger asked you to be here just as part of the union, as part of the union, I guess. The purpose of it, it's an educational incentive program. So this program is to incentivize, it is an incentive, it's a benefit. And educating officers for the path forward is exactly the purpose of this. To say that moving forward in your degree in law enforcement is not directly related to your career in law enforcement, I don't think makes much sense. Any program, I guess, trainings that we have within the department, such as specialized trainings like advanced roadside, field sobriety, those are all trainings that we request and are given through the department. So those are already paid for by the taxpayers through the department budget. If there's a training that we believe an officer would be good for, or there's a need within the department, we petition the supervisors for that and they allow us to go to those trainings. Some of the advanced trainings are drug detection and things like that. And then we can also apply for scholarships for some of those. What this is actually for is for bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, specialized education, especially at a time right now where we're looking for a police chief. Having your staff qualified for those positions to move forward is kind of the intent of this incentive program. So how are we gonna have people that are educated enough to fill positions if we're not educating them to fill those positions in the future? So I think that's kind of the purpose of what this is. And a lot of the trainings you speak of are awesome, and we always try to get them, and we always try to have as much training as we can, but those are kind of paid for through a different avenue.
Yeah, well, I respectfully disagree, so.
Okay, absolutely.
Did you have anything?
I think the concerns about the financial well-being of the town are well-founded. However, the appropriate time to consider those was in negotiating the contract and clauses such as this that provide for that educational incentive. Now it's in the contract. So now, sure, there's a matter of contractual interpretation of what that was intended to mean. But I agree that there's the distinction between the training programs that are offered through the department and what I would consider to be an educational incentive to go outside of that department to pursue educational options.
Did you have anything?
We should probably get a legal interpretation from our labor lawyer who helped negotiate this. I would like to point out that the first thing at the beginning of the meeting was to try to cut back on the labor attorney fees.
I understand that, but
I get
I'm not a
what you're-
labor lawyer,
No, and I totally, we're not telling you not to,
I guess one
To
more,
do that.
one more.
if we say no and you go to a grievance, we're still gonna spend on a lawyer. If we say yes and some, it's,
Yeah, that, and why I appreciate and, your desire to participate in more schooling, it's always a good thing. Yeah, we're just not at a position right now to be able to afford anything like that. The way the contract reads is the officers who desire to participate shall submit the request to the town board for approval. That's something that's interpretation, right? That we would really have to take a look at. But I would say at this point, just running at the deficit that we are, worried about the overtime that we have. Because, what if the next person wants to, and then the next person we just can't keep affording all this. We can't continue to keep doing this. We really have to put a lid on some things. We already have to look at overtime and, starting to quell some of that. So we're trying to make everybody happy and trying to give everyone what they need. At the same time, we have to do it within our means and within our budget.
if we can just reiterate one thing, nobody is aware of this actually ever been used before. So as far as this being a additional cost or, putting a lid on it or being concerned that it might be a runaway thing, it's not been that in the past. We're not aware of anyone that's actually used this within the department. I would say we're kind of excited that it is being used to promote people's education. So we just want you to consider that too. And it also has safeguards that you're not gonna invest in someone that doesn't go to school or fails or things like that. We just want you to note as well that he has to pay the tuition and then it gets reimbursed. If he has the proper GPA, obtains the proper scores. So when you do think about it, please just note that too. You're not just writing a check to a guy and hoping he goes to class. He actually has to prove that he's done it. He has to prove that he's paid it before anything would get reimbursed to him. So just please consider that as well.
and you have to maintain a C average.
To that point, I did get an email from Chief Johnson on Friday, probably one of his last acts as chief, that said that he doesn't recall it being used in the last 20 years, and that when it was used, he can only recall them ever approving a couple $100 when and if they did. For the little additional information on that.
That was probably a master's degree 20 years
That
ago.
was probably, that was long before my time here.
Yeah.
Oh, we absolutely, I understand that, and I think Officer Ferger does too, but we just really want to move our department forward and get everyone educated, and that was the purpose of this, so.
But the town could pay for an advanced degree to be a police administrator, and then the officer might wind up going to another municipality with that degree paid for by Waterford, town of Waterford, to be a chief somewhere else. So that wouldn't be fair either.
It's possible, but again, that probably should have been negotiated. But again, there's not a lot to this because we haven't really utilized it, so this is one of the first times we're trying to utilize it.
Anything else, anyone?
Motion.
Anyone like to make a motion?
I had one question. This is kind of the first I've ever really heard about the details of this. I was just wondering if the board or Officer Ferger would consider, I don't know if you need the whole amount or you need it, if you would accept a certain amount from the board and take care of the rest yourself, or just, it was just not.
I'd like to go by whatever this, obviously whatever's in writing.
Could, have you determined that you're gonna speak to the labor attorney? Or
I'm
what-
sorry, was that?
Were you going to speak with the labor attorney, or what was your decision, I guess?
Yeah, I was just, yeah.
Could we ask how much the high school pays for, teachers to go on credit? Luke, do you know how much the high school pays for teachers to go on to continuing education?
Yeah, it's $350 per credit up to a maximum of 12 credits. And we have written into that language that if they take those credits and leave within 3 years, they have to pay it back.
Yeah.
That's
They're
something-
required to have, 6 credits every 5 years for continuing education?
They used to, but now the state has moved into a lifetime license. because of the shortage of teachers.
Oh, they
So
went back to lifetime licenses?
For all staff, yep,
Sounds maybe something we.
once they're past the probationary period.
Well, I would make a motion that I would, like to table it for a month, get a legal interpretation first, and would he be open to similar to what the high school does?
I guess let's see what the legal interpretation is first. and
Okay.
Figure it out then.
Motion, second.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, did you get that motion, Tina? Okay, and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Thank you,
And I agree, it's a great idea, but I also look at how much we are
yeah,
over too, so it's kind of
yeah.
what the labor law is. I'm not.
All right, moving on to purchase of a new police boat. I know I talked to Lieutenant Chesky, and you talked a little bit, and you put a deposit down because we have a refundable deposit. We had 30-day refundable deposit, so you wouldn't lose it. So we needed to make sure we got it on the agenda today, so we can get it figured out and taken care of. So I will let you start if you want to, or Nate, whoever wanted to talk about the boat?
The boat that we have was purchased, used from the DNR. Yes, in 2014, so it wasn't new to us. It wasn't exactly the patrol boat that was the best for our waterway, but it was a good deal, and Chief Ditchite took advantage of it and purchased it. And then I think the board, we didn't always save for a boat, so, but then under Tom Hinz, I believe that we started a capital savings plan for a boat. And the boat, I can say the boat is, I've operated the boat myself a few times over the years. The boat is aged, and since there was enough funding in the fund, we started looking for a possible new boat. And that's all I know. So I'll leave it to Officer Nate.
I've kind of been tasked with specifically kind of setting this up. So as he said, just to expand on that, we have a 2010 DV hull. It was owned by the Department of Natural Resources. We purchased it at auction in 2014. So it's had a long, hard life. Patrol boats are not always, they're not, I would put the patrol boat place, so I would never put my personal boat. They have to pull boats, they have to go into rescue situations, they're stop and go, it's just a hard life. As you know, any boat on Michigan or the Fox River, there's some areas where it's very shallow and things like that, so it's very demanding on our patrol boats. Our current patrol boat is fine, there's a wish list that, we would like to change this, change that, but it's been sufficient. But it's getting to the boat too, where the motor is getting close to the end of what they expect that kind of motor to last. And we don't want to be in a position where it's July 3rd and our motor doesn't work and we have to repair it, replace it, things like that. In addition, there's just some things, we had a drowning call earlier this year and we just really didn't have any equipment because our boat is becoming a little antiquated, that we couldn't do what we wanted to do as far as rescue resources. So as was mentioned, there is a separate fund that the board puts money into to purchase a new boat. Since we haven't purchased a boat since we haven't purchased a boat for 10 years, there's some money in that fund. The Department of Natural Resources matches a lot. It used to be about 72%. They have a large fund that they obtain from the federal government. It's now down to about 60% that they match. They'll match that with all kinds of things, the boat, the equipment, anything to do with the boat basically, except the computer and electronics. So there's some caveats, but they'll buy new everything, new rope, new buoys, new bumpers, new bivvy top, new motor, new trailer. They offset the price of that 60%. So it's a really good deal. Right now this year, my understanding is we have about $42,000 or $43,000 in this fund. With the boat we priced out, we anticipate the town to end up paying about $30,000, $30,489. So even buying a brand new top of the notch boat this year, without a trade-in, we're still gonna have about $14,000 to $11,000 to $14,000 still remaining in that fund. So basically, since we haven't bought a boat for so long, we do have surplus money in that account. Right now, when we price out a boat, there's a ton of details. If you want, please ask, but I don't want to bombard you with information. We spoke with all kinds of people. We spoke with all of our officers. We spoke with our local wardens. We spoke with the head state wardens, who also sent this to Madison to look at. We ended up choosing a boat that we feel would be the best for our waterway. It's significantly lighter than our current boat, which is something that we're really looking forward to because of the shallow waters that we're in. We want a boat that will be a good patrol boat, but we can also get into places easily. There's certain parts of the Fox River right now where if we see a violation, we can't go after them because we can't plane because it's so shallow. So a lighter boat was something that we really honed in on. In addition to that, I kind of priced everything down there. You'll see where it says split with the DNR and pays outright. Like I said, the DNR matches that 60% with quite a bit of things, but not everything. The large things you'll notice are the computers or anything to do with the computer, printer, mounts, things like that. The reason a computer is vitally important to us on the boat is because it's just the same reason it's very important to us to have in our squad cars. We can initiate a traffic stop, we can run everybody, we can run their sportsman's checks, we can see if they have licenses, voter safety, if they have previous violations. And we can process citations, we can process warnings, and we can print it all out and add it to them right there. When you're trying to write something down in a pen on a boat in the middle of Michigan with another boat right next to you that you're trying not to smash into, it's really nice to have a computer that can expedite that whole process. It also takes a lot of labor off of dispatch. Dispatch isn't exceptionally familiar with running boat checks and sportsman's checks. And we've had numerous times where we've ran things through dispatch and they've given us incorrect information because they're just not really familiar with it. We can kind of cut all that out by just doing it all in the boat like we would normally do. We can handle accident reports and everything else right from the boat. So those additional costs are really important to us, which is why we put that on there. And, you know, as far as revenue and enforcement, it also assists us with issuing more warnings, citations, things like that. Another big piece of equipment on here is the Humminbird depth finder. This depth finder has side sonar, down sonar. It has all kinds of technology that at the end of the day is very useful in locating submerged objects. If we respond again to drownings or boats that have went out of the water or an obstruction in the water, now we actually have technology where we can search the area using this sonar. It also has GPS that integrates with the computer. One search technique is grid techniques so that you can go back through the water. Using this piece of equipment, we'll actually be able to see our grid pattern. We can give that to other officers. We can pinpoint, here's the last position, because again, we just had a drowning this year. That's where I last saw him. We can move the patrol boat there and we can have the exact coordinates that we can relay to other units, to drones and things like that. So with the newer technology with search and rescue, this can really help us coordinate with other units and it'll make us safer and hopefully assist in any rescues we have. But we also get a lot of calls every year of, I hit something with my prop, you know, I don't know what's over there. We can now use this side sonar too to help try to identify hazards in the waterway. So that's something that's really important, not only to make sure that we know what depth we're in, but also for rescue operations. The big thing, and I kind of itemized why we picked what we did, but I want you to know that every single officer that works on the boat agrees to all of this equipment, agrees to the boat, agrees to the motor, agrees to the equipment. And again, it was consulted with our local DNR warden and the state. So everyone's looked at this and said, yes, that's what we need, that's what we want, that would be best for your body of water. One of the issues, or not an issue, but we'd like to trade in our old boat. And it kind of itemizes this cost savings with that. We already have a pontoon boat that we use for buoys, and we can also use that for extra enforcement. We absolutely do not need 3 boats or to maintain 3 boats or store 3 boats. We don't need it. We only really have 4 officers that work on the boat, so we don't all need our own boat. So we'd like to trade in this boat. That would be ideal. Due to storage, we may not get the boat out in time, which would be a problem because the other option is we auction this off like we do with our squad cars in the spring. So ideally, we'd like to trade it in just because when we take the money off, it's just easier financially to report that to the DNR. But if we auction it in the spring, not a big deal. So that money would get back into that fund as well. So that would save us some money. So the real cost to the town with a trade-in or an auction is really gonna be about $26,000 out of a fund that we have $42,000 for.
So they're
That's-
giving you what for trade-in then?
So we don't know. We gave our vendor right now, we went through is Action Power Sports. They are the Alumacraft dealer for our area. They gave us the best price on their boat. And what we did, since we can't get our boat out of storage currently, we gave them the VIN number, the year, the make, the model, and we told them it's had a life. It's got some holes in it from radios and things like that. And they gave us a ballpark figure of possibly $10,000.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to get more. The Blue Book value of it is about $14,000, but again, the boat Blue Book is pretty loose on condition, and I, we'll be honest, our boat isn't in great condition. It's had a long life. But I would estimate we can get $10,000 for it. So when I say approximate figures with the trade-in, that's accounting for the $10,000 taken off of that. So either way, we're gonna either trade in the boat or auction it in the spring, put that money back into the fund. How the DNR does it is they have us buy everything right away, and then they reimburse us over 4 years. So I've already spoke with, Tina and Heather and kind of discuss how that goes. They take the money out, and then when it gets paid back by the DNR, it gets covered. But after 4 years, we're gonna have, and if we put in $5,000 every year, I think the plan would be, or how it should be, is every 5 to 6 years is getting a new boat. And I also wanna note that once we buy the computer this year, it's unlikely that we need to get a new, we don't need all this equipment with every single boat we get. These are an initial upgrade. If the Humminbird and the computer mounts and the Panasonic Toughbook is good in 4 or 5 years, then we'll just roll that over onto the next boat, just like we do with squad cars. The only reason there's an initial investment now is because we haven't had that. Right now, we sometimes take our squad computers out and bring them with and kind of set them on the seat, but that is not ideal. It's not the best place for the computer, but it really expedites the program.
Hey, what's the warranty on the boat? How long?
It depends on the parts. So the boat has, warranties, I have to double check. Everything has like different warranty options. There's powertrain warranties, there's boat hull warranties, there's computer warranties. So I don't have the exact answer, but I will tell you that everything has a warranty for at least like 1 to 4 years. So the motor, things like that, they're all really warranted. And the one thing I really wanted to mention, and the reason that there's a little bit of haste on this, is we priced all this out and then we reached out to vendors to get estimates. I did this last year. Everything went up, as Mr. Francois said too, everything gets more expensive year after year. Everything got more expensive from the last time. But in 2022, I couldn't even get a boat. Nobody would even give me an estimate due to the boat shortage. They wouldn't even tell me a number. This year, when I called Action Power Sports, they coincidentally had the exact boat that we're looking for with a better motor. But they're offering us less than had we ordered that. So the reason that I'm coming to you today is because, well, for one, we're ready to buy a boat. But for two, there is a boat ready and available at Action Power Sports in Waukesha right now. By purchasing that boat, we not only save a bunch of money in delivery and labor. They charge like $3,000 to buy the boat from their factory and have it brought in. So you save quite a bit of money by having a boat that's in stock. And for us, that ensures that we'll have a boat ready. We have squad cars that we're waiting on equipment for months yet. If someone has a boat in stock, that will guarantee that we'll have this boat on the water this summer patrolling. So that's why we're here today. We do have a deposit down on the boat because we didn't want someone to buy it out from under us over the holidays. But we would,
That also locked in the price too.
yeah, it locked in the price. And we'd like to move forward on that and have your approval today. And like we said, it's pre-budgeted. We haven't bought one in a very long time. This one has been vetted by multiple people. They have it in stock and we're ready to go. We're ready to go pick it up and start getting it outfitted with the approval of the board.
Thank you, Nate. Any questions, comments?
Yes. I'd like to thank him for the time he spent but I believe this is the wrong time to purchase the boat, and I'll give you several reasons. You came to me last year, I would probably said yes. Right now, we have water diversion from Waukesha. We really don't know what we're gonna have out there next year. I can tell you right now, the water is fairly low. We have a new police chief coming on board. What's his opinion gonna be? I can tell you right now, your old police chief wanted a center mount boat. There are other issues too. You looked at London Lumicraft, there's other boats out there, Bass Tracker, Crestliner, Lowell, just to mention a few, or a center mount. I didn't even know you could get a center console in an aluminum boat, but yes, you can. In fact, they even have them where the front end drops down to help for your divers and that. I believe we should wait until September, that way we know what the water levels are gonna be like. And then we form a committee, including the person that owns Preferred Marine, because he services our boat, to get his input on that. There are a lot of programs out there from Mercury Marine to the boat manufacturers and that to give us one heck of prices on municipal issues. The other thing is, in the fall of 2022, there was a boat stranded in Conservancy Bay. Our patrol boat couldn't get there, nobody's boat could. We had to borrow, I believe, somebody's mud boat, am I correct?
That's correct.
Maybe we should consider getting a mud boat as a auxiliary piece of equipment, because the water's not getting deeper, it's getting shallower. Don't know what the prices are on them, because I've never really looked at mud boats that much, but this is something we should be looking at. Patrol boat, we can wait a year and still get it. Our patrol boat is working. You say trade it in. Well, that's a great idea. Do you only have one squad car per shift, or do you have backup squad cars?
We have, more than one squad car, yes.
One of our newer squad cars was in the shop for what, over a month? In fact, it was one of the newest ones. A story just happened just last year. Coming out of Tishkin Lake, a gentleman hit a submerged log, took his lower unit completely off. What would happen if we lose our new boat weekend before the 4th? Why not keep our boat? We have someplace we can store it, because Preferred Marine said they would keep it out there. Yes, we do have a pontoon boat. We should maybe look at repowering that. That motor's from in the 1990s. We put not only lights on there, we also put emergency lighting on there and that, and the boat was never used this summer. They dropped everything to put navigation lights on for the sandbar party and the 4th of July, and the boat sat on the trailer at Preferred Marine, from what the owner told me. Doesn't make sense. So we need to look at that. Side console is great. There again, majority of the time, at least 50% of the time, that boat has 2 people in it. The owner of Preferred Marine has offered the last 2 years to go out with the officers to show them a little bit on how to drive the boat. There are some areas you can't get into. I don't even know right now. I do have a letter out to Lumicraft to see what the new boat would draw. Our old patrol boat draws 18 inches of water, because I went out there Saturday and measured where the water lines were on the boat. But right now, the DNR, nobody can tell us what's gonna happen to our river next year. Right now, I was looking at, because I've got a couple of boat lifts, I can look at the water levels. We are where it was the lowest this summer is where we are right now. I don't know if the locks are open or not. I haven't checked that. But when you're diverting 8.2 million gallons of water a day, granted, it's over a long area, it might not affect us hardly at all, but there again, it might affect us really bad, where the only thing that we might be able to use is a mud boat.
May I address your comments?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it, and I know, Doug, you're a boat guy and I'm a boat guy, so I absolutely understand this and I totally get it. I understand a lot of your opinions and I get that, but I wanna also mention that, you know, all this stuff has been talked about center console or side console. You know, with much respect to Chief, you know, you really operate the boat. He wasn't out there on patrol shifts, so him saying I want this or that was kind of interesting.
What do other areas have? East Troy, Buell Lake, I know has a center mount.
Well, the Department of Natural Resources uses Lumicraft, so the main reason.
But they're talking about changing for next year.
If I can just address it.
Okay.
The number one boat they use that they have on almost every lake, except for their larger boats or their speed boats, their standard issued boat is a side console Alumacraft, which is exactly what we're looking at. If it's worked for the National Department of Natural Resources for a very, very long time. I've worked on 3 boat patrols. They're always side console. A lot of the boats around here are side console. I did price out Low, or Lund and,
Lund would be more pricey.
another boat, I forget what it was, from American Marina. They're both more expensive. So I just want you to know, because I don't know if you know, that we did look at other things. We did price out other things. When looking at what we should buy, we obviously look at our partners and see what equipment they use, what's worked for you, what doesn't work for you. If the Department of Natural Resources has used Alumacraft side console forever, I've used them, they're great. We ran it through all the officers. Hey, how are you gonna deal with a side console? There's things where when you are by yourself, a side console is terrible because you can't reach or hold on to the boat next to you.
Center console, yes, you're
Or
correct.
sorry, center console. So there were reasons that we didn't want that. And also most 50% of our shifts is quite, that's a lot. We don't have two people on for 50% of our shifts.
Almost 50%, if not more, because I'm out there. You have two people in that boat.
Every shift I'm out there, there's just me, Berger, I believe, it's usually just you. Sometimes Linda goes out on Thursdays. Either way, it's not a point in arguing it. I just want to let you know that maybe 25% would be more accurate of how often there's two people. And it's still gonna be designed for two people. We still have two chairs. The officer drives and the computer's on the left side. So it's actually gonna be, it's kind of designed for that. So when you're issuing a citation, you can either remove the tablet and hold on to it and drive. Or when you have two people, the operator can operate the boat while the passenger has the computer, can run everything and can issue all the citations. So it is designed for both. When you mention, what if the boat broke? That's kind of our concern is why we're trying to get a new boat. Because if our old boat broke, then we're out of a boat. If the new boat breaks, we're out of a boat. So either way, we're out of a boat. We're just trying to reduce the odds of the boat breaking. If we hit a stump, we hit a stump. There's nothing to prevent that.
And I would add that I don't know if it is an option to keep both boats and still buy a new boat and still keep the old boat. If that's what the town wants to
We do
do.
need some driving lessons. Do you know how many props they go through in that boat a year?
This last year, less than 5. The year before, I'm
More than
embarrassed to.
Yes.
I should let you know this includes two props, aluminum, not stainless steel.
Yeah,
So
not
we have the
stainless
lower
steel.
unit, we'd rather have the prop rate. But again, that's kind of part of life. We are trying to pull people over in very shallow water.
And I understand,
Going
like I
through
said,
props is gonna be something that a patrol boat does, and we're trying to reduce that. This current boat is 500 pounds lighter than our older boat. So again, we're gonna bust less props because we don't have as much draft. We're gonna, the river's always changing.
the boat, well, the one I looked at that you said originally, was, I believe, 1,100 pounds. Now you add batteries, gas, motor. You're gonna be close to what you said our patrol boat weighs now. I think you're off on what our patrol boat weighs now, though.
The dry weight, I got it from the G3 website and the Alumacraft website. The dry weight of both boats were about 500 pounds different. When you remove the windshield, so our side console doesn't have a full wraparound windshield, that reduces weight. It only has one console, that reduces weight. So there's a lot of weight
But you
reduction.
normally run 2 batteries in the patrol boat, so there you add weight. The boat I looked at was the Voyager, which is what you originally said on one of your other letters.
Yep.
Dry weight on that was 1,010 pounds.
At the end of the day, it's really just a difference of opinions between what the water patrol officers are looking to get, and I guess, what you want, and I know.
Like I said,
what the
last year,
chief
if you would have come to me before the water diversion, I would have probably been all for it. This year, I think we need to wait a year to see what's gonna happen out there, because none of us know. You know, I'm hoping it's great. My pontoon's sitting on my boat lift right now. If it's down, I might be looking at a boat sitting on a lift I can't get off. And like I said, I was surprised to see that the water is actually low now with the amount of rain we've had.
Just for setting the record straight,
Yes.
year over year right now, for December, water's higher. for the
It
month
was
of
in December. It's just this last week it's dropped.
Again, within a couple of days,
Yeah.
that may be for January, but just so everyone's aware for this discussion.
Mhm.
WWMD, we've been tracking this information to be able to determine exactly where we're standing year over year. And Tom back here, I know, a member of the planning committee and everything, is one of our individuals helping us do this. So just more of an FYI, because this is exactly why we're doing it. Because we don't want people to be saying things that are not factually based. And that's why it's real important that we address things in a manner that's specific and not, oh, the rock outside of my house isn't underwater like it usually is, and so therefore. And Doug, you're absolutely right, though. The big thing about this diversion project, and Nate, I think you're aware of it as well, is that we're not going to really know this impact until June, July, and August. when we get to the warm weather months and we did see whether we do or we do not have rain, what that impact from Waukesha is gonna be. But for purposes of this discussion, we finally.
We were high, yes.
You've done an incredible job of researching and giving the detail, which is wonderful. Because by the way, guys, and I'm sorry to take over on this one, but I'm the one who also gets the phone calls to go out and help Linda when she was stuck out there with her boat, to try to get her in, because the weight of that motor and the weight of that boat and the shallowness of our watershed is problematic in and of itself. But I'm not saying we should or shouldn't be buying a boat. I can't weigh in on that one yet. This is the first, by the way, one of the reasons I wanted to be here tonight is because I saw it on the agenda. I didn't even know we were this far along in getting a boat. And I just would like to be a part of supporting it if at all possible. So for what it's worth, there's the specific numbers, and maybe, Tom, what we should start doing is sharing this information so that everyone can see it on an ongoing basis. So if you start getting calls, you're seeing it immediately to know, whoa. People would say, well, the water's low. Based on what? Okay.
I would say that if we bought the boat and the worst case scenario happened and the water was low, we're not gonna lose money on the boat if we had to sell it. It's gonna be brand new.
And I want you to know that this issue and the shallowness of our waterways had every single thing to do with every decision made with the boat. This is the lightest boat we can get that we feel would be sufficient for our duties. So it's a 115, not a 150. It's a lighter boat. It's a single everything to do with it was weight reduction. We wanted this boat to be as light as possible for all the issues that everyone's talking about. So we're all in agreement there that we need the lightest boat possible so we can get into the shallowest water. And this boat, everything having to do with this boat was for that. It's as light as we can get a boat.
You can have a very light boat with a deep keel that will drag through the mud though. So there still has to be a discussion of what that boat, what the draft is on that boat.
So this is a V, the boat we have now is a deep V boat. This is a V boat. We do not want a flat bottom boat for patrol purposes. Flat bottom boats have inherent issues. They're great for duck hunting. They're great for probably rescue operations. They're not great for any kind of speed performance. Boats have chines and risers on the side, and the V-hull actually is what gives the boat its performance in the water and its ability to stay where it is when you turn corners. When you are on a flat bottom, you're skipping over the water and you have no control. So as far as a patrol boat, it's like a squad car, with no performance function. You're just skipping across the water trying to catch somebody. Another issue with flat bottom boats is they have very shallow gunnels. So when there's waves, water can come into the boat. And when we're in the middle of the lake, there's waves. In addition, they're not good for going through waves. Again, like we're trying to catch someone wakeboarding. I mean, you guys know when there's skiers, the middle of the lake has waves this high. You can't take a flat bottom boat through that. The discussion to have a flat bottom boat available, 100%. That
So how
discussion,
does the regular patrol boat? No,
that
because
discussion should be
you will
had.
knock your eye teeth out on a Sunday on Michigan Lake. I will agree with you.
And that is certainly not what I was suggesting, but there does have to be a consideration for draft in addition to the weight. of the
And it has been considered. I just want you to know it's been considered. And that's some of the stuff we bounce across to, like Warden Hirschbeck, when we talk about this boat. He's been out here for years. This is the boat we're looking for. That's the boat that they use on this waterway. So, I don't know what better boat there is than this boat. So,
I do have one more question.
Mr. Olander, you want to come forward so we can all hear you?
Well, I don't have to come forward, I guess, talking about different types of boats, this is a curiosity question. Jet boat is not considered.
not considered, not reliable on the shallow water. We could never get in. So with a prop, you'd be amazed at how with trim and tilt, and you can get into some spots. If we have a jet boat, first of all, the costs are much higher and then the maintenance is insane. And with weeds, if we have to go get a jet ski or a boat out of weeds, we can't do that with a jet boat. So I believe a jet boat would actually even more restrict our accessibility. We're really trying to be able to access more of the water where there are emergencies with a shallow draft, but not flat bottom. I mean, this boat's, we've looked at it, we've talked to everybody and we have discussed all these things, but this was the best option.
The DNR reimburses over the course of 4 years.
Yes, sir.
We have $48,000 in the account,
42 or
42,000.
42 or 43?
43,000.
Just
The-
43.
The total cost of the boat is about 64,000.
Mhm.
Where do those extra funds come from until the DNR reimburses?
So I just asked Tina briefly, so like, she said we have 42 or 43,000. I believe she said that it generally gets pulled out of the general fund, and then when the DNR reimburse, it goes back into the general fund. Or, I hate to say it, but I would kind of defer that question to, town treasurer, but they take it out somewhere and it goes back. I think specifically how it would be.
And Nick, you said it's in stock now, which is saving us money, or
Yes,
as
it
opposed
does-
to, what if we waited? What would
Well,
How
we
come-
can,
What kind of pricing are they giving you? Are they giving you, the pricing that Mercury would give us?
they're giving us I asked for the best price and it's like $4,500 off their list price. And I do know that the estimate to get it, I said, how much do we have to pay to buy a custom boat or another boat that we want and have it delivered here? He quoted me about another $3,200 in stocking and delivery fees. Granted, could we get 5 more, if you want me to get 5 more estimates from 5 more people, but the other thing is, all these estimates are good for about 30 days. Every time I have to, again, which is fine, I'll spend time, but that's time I'm not on the road. And the
Well, for
prices
one
always
thing,
go up.
Alumacraft is owned by, BPR, which is Bombardier. Obviously, they have their Ghost engine and that's it. Now they no longer have Evinrude Johnson. So they're going to Mercury to get the engine.
Yes.
If you would go with Mercury and maybe a boat company that Mercury owns, you might get a better price. I know a year ago, my son talked to Mercury and they were willing to give us a very good deal on engines for municipalities. That's why I said this is something we could look at during the summer. By that way, we would have a track record on what the water's gonna do. You know, I'll admit, I sort of laughed because I went to Browns Lake this year, 1.5 foot low, Long Lake, Silver Lake, they're all low, and I'm laughing because I've still got all my water. Well, next year, I might not be laughing. I hope I am, but I don't know.
Well, then we should definitely get a lighter boat as soon as we can.
2-3 inches isn't gonna save the day, and that's all you're gonna be getting for draft. We draw 18 inches. What's this one gonna do?
That's
it's
what
kinda-
it is.
All right,
And just so you know, they do have a flat bottom boat with a 25 horsepower brand new for just under $8,000.
All right, so I have a
So that is
question,
something
Nick.
down the road.
What would we lose by waiting? Are we losing anything by waiting? It's in stock now. We're getting a deal. Is there something that we would lose by waiting?
Costs will go up. They will go up. All the accessories will go up. The boat itself will go up if we have to order a boat. And, then we're gonna be operating with the boat we have now, which just kind of leads back to the reasons that we wanted a new boat in the first place. It's a bigger boat and it's just not, it's becoming, I don't wanna say unreliable, but it's to the end of its usable life. And that's based on hours that the motors ran and things like that.
How many hours are on that motor? And it is a 4-stroke, not a 2-stroke.
I'm not certain, but Performance Marine told us it was at the end of its life. Or at the end of its hours.
Not to be nasty, 4-stroke, Yamahas don't have it in the life yet. They haven't come up with one. I checked today.
That's what we were told.
So any more discussion? Anybody else, Tim?
I do. We have 43,200 right now in the account. The new year started, we're gonna put another $5,000 in there. That'll bring us up to 48,200, okay? So I would, the total cost of the boat is 63,433 cents. Minus the 48,200 brings down to what we have to cover is 15,233. How much did you put down already?
$500 is refundable.
About the 500 from, okay. Question for you. Looking at the end of the year financials right here, our income was up over $120,000 because our money on our investments. We don't have the final totals because we'll get some straggler bills coming in. We won't know until February, okay? So our income was, it's all because of interest on investments.
Right,
So we will have some additional funds,
yes.
but also looking at the police department, they have $35,000 a year budgeted for capital stuff too. We can take the 15,000 out of that to cover it until we get the reimbursement back from that. So it's very doable right now. Hearing Nate talk, okay, costing of about 7,200. I don't know about all the little miscellaneous stuff, but let's say that's 1,000.
Right,
Right now would be a better deal with $8,200.
and I did reach out to Heather, and But they do take 4 years to pay? She just wanted to.
Well, they've always done that, I think.
Yeah.
And then I was talking to somebody, we may get up to 65%, but that's always
It's.
debatable on how the state changes what they do.
I should note too that the state says, so they pulled the 60% figure because they get a fund from the federal government. That number has gone down. 2 years ago, it was 72%. So I asked him, do you think it's gonna go down next year? He said, I don't know. I think we're good at 60, but I should mention that. I don't know. It might go down. He says that more and more boat patrols are closing down. So there's less hands in the pot, but everything's way more expensive. So these costs are going way up. So I should mention that the DNR split is not guaranteed. And I asked him, when does it change? Does it change in October or January 1st? He said it's basically dependent on when they get money from the feds and then how the state decides that. So that is something.
But they've had for 20-some years, because we've always got our buoys through that way.
It was 40, or they said 2 years ago it was 72% match pay, now
And
it's
then they've had
60%.
this program for
Yeah,
So
so.
yeah,
20+ years. I mean, so I don't
Talking
see-
with Heather, it's not an issue in terms of
Okay.
where the money would come from.
I'd make a motion, we proceed with the vote, based on the people I've talked to and the research I have in my hand. I think it's a good deal.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Dale, did you have any comments?
Well, I just had one clarification on the actual cost. In the middle of the page with the Aluminacraft stuff, Bimini, Motorola, it says 54,906. Is that the actual cost of everything?
I think that's the DNR 60.
That's the DNR
Yeah.
split. So the total cost with the whole boat, if you go just down there where it says without trade-in, if you add those two numbers, that is the total cost. The DNR pays and the town pays. That would be the total cost. So 60,000,
63,64.
without a trade-in. So like we said, that would be what we'd like to get approved for, so we can purchase the boat today. It sounds like we cannot get the boat out of storage, like we physically can't, and that is a thing with boats and storage. If there's 10 boats parked in front of it, we're not getting it out till spring. What we'd like to do is sell the boat at auction in the spring. That money would go back into the fund that this was drawn from. We have to report that money to the Department of Natural Resources as well, so we can't just put that in the general or anything like that, because the boat was purchased under this program. It has to kind of go back into the program as a circulating fund. So when we sell the boat, if we sell it for $12,000, that would go back into the savings for the boat for the next year to offset the costs.
And if we were to buy the boat now, would we get our first of the 4 reimbursements in 2024 or 2025?
That is an excellent question. I believe it'd be next year.
So, yeah.
And on the old patrol boat, the lights and that would be coming off,
Yes.
because the lights were donated, the bumpers along the sides were all donated, because the owner of Preferred Marine paid for that out of pocket.
That's been disputed, but I would leave that up to owner of Performance Marine and our lieutenant that does the water patrol. But either way, we're not taking anyone's equipment.
Not Performance, Preferred.
Preferred,
Like,
sorry about
Dale,
that.
anything else?
Performance is the other one.
Sorry.
I would just keep the
anything
extra
else?
boat, I wouldn't trade it in right now, keep it till spring and use a boat.
That's up to the board. We have
Bob,
3
anything
votes.
else?
Does the DNR get some of that money back if we were to sell the current boat?
Yeah, so because it was purchased under this program with the DNR, that money has to go back into,
Back into their fund as well as then replenishing our fund?
no, it would go into our fund. But we can't use, it'd have to go back into
Oh, I
our
see.
fund to be used for this
Or-
purpose.
You couldn't buy new desks and everything.
Yes, sorry about that. Yes, it has to go in specifically for
Use
the
it
boat.
with this
I
one.
asked because the DNR amount changes with or without the trade-in.
Yeah, so
Oh,
they
I see
would,
what you're saying.
yes, they would, whatever we sell for, they save money, we save money. It would kind of, it goes back.
But
and
if we purchase the boat and then sell the current boat at auction, then there's no adjustment of the purchase price, and that money just comes back to the town.
Well, that's part of this is why they wanted to do a trade-in, because it's just the easiest. If we auction it, they just want us to report it. I believe that they offset it with us. We get half, they still get the 60%. So I believe that cost goes back into our fund, but they calculate on reimbursements that we have that as an income. They kind of, we use the same daily form and monthly form, like we buy gas. It's just a larger part of it. And when we submit that form, if we also have revenue or something like that, we also report that on that form. like at the end of the year, we have citation revenue and things like that we have to report. The revenue for selling the boat will be reported to the DNR in the same way as citation revenue. And I believe that just is calculated into their reimbursement. They'll basically say, you got $10,000 for this boat, we're not gonna reimburse you as if you didn't get a trade-in or something of that fashion.
We'll need to clarify that, Mr. Hort, if you wanted to say
Yeah,
something.
with the DNR discussion, you may have double checked this already, but I know with the equipment we purchased for the WWMD, you're required to hold on to it for a certain period of time. And then you're able to dispose of it in a manner that you deem appropriate. So in our case, we had to hold on to the equipment 5 or 10 years. And if we then went out and sold it after that, well, then that's on us, and we get to make that deal, if you will, with whatever the benefits are. So you might want to double check just to
Yeah,
make sure
we need
that
to
that
clarify
piece
that.
that Robert, you're asking about doesn't have to go back to the DNR, but will absolutely come here if we've gone beyond that period of time.
'Cause that makes an absolute difference in the net cost of the boat.
Mhm.
in town.
You gotta double check, because the DNR's got
All right.
multiple grant.
Yeah, I can double check exactly what happens. When we were discussing this, we were talking a trade-in. So that was our major motive, and that was very clear cut. And like I said, that's easier. We'd still like to do a trade-in if we can. I can get that clarified. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, that's just if a trade-in or an auction just saves us money or allows us to put it into another fund, we're still looking to get the full amount qualified today and approved to purchase this boat.
Okay, so Nate, if you can get those clarifications for us,
Absolutely,
and then,
100%.
would anyone like to make a motion?
I did already.
Supervisor Zelinski made a motion to approve
I
the
did.
purchase.
Now to approve it.
With the trade-in or without?
I said without the trade-in. I give all the
Without the
numbers,
trade-in?
yeah. And we take it out of the police capital, so it doesn't affect the town budget at all.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any more quick discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oppose?
Opposed.
Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you.
all your
I'll get that
Work and
information,
if
as
you
soon as
can-
possible and let you know.
clarify that and get back to us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nate.
All right, we're good. Okay, Michigan Fire, I know Bill said that he wouldn't have anyone here today,
Okay,
so in Waterford Fire. Hey, WWMD.
My night. Only two things. One, we are currently working on an offloading location with the residents. I'm not going to share where that is right now, because the last time we did that, it became a negative influence over it, and we still were able to achieve the goal. By the way, it's in a somewhat secluded area, so if we're successful at it, it should have zero impact anyway on the residents of that area, but it's with individual property owners. So knock on wood, that's what we're working on right now. And ironically, I wanted to bring up the fact that we are now tracking properly exactly what the water levels are at the dam as a result of the diversion project, so that we can start reporting on that. We'll make sure that Bill, in the months coming ahead, will be able to actually share that specifically. And that will include both the actual height of the dam and the current performance, as well as the amount of rainfall that we've had. So we'll be able to get a sense of what's actually happening with proper comparable to and including prior year, because that's obviously what we're doing now. So we have 3 months. The diversion started on October 9th. We now have 3 months, October, November, December, where we have 3 years of history. So we can actually already start to build any trends that may be coming. And at this point, there's not a lot being shown to us by the numbers. As I said a moment ago, in December, it was actually higher than it was last year. And we actually had more rain last year than we did this year, or more precipitation. So stay tuned, more to come. Happy to answer any questions, but that's all I had.
Thank you. All right, Park, Kenny,
Well, I, welcome,
Road.
I don't have a whole lot for the park, except tomorrow we'll have, some kids there, sledding. Coming up here soon. I'm sure they're getting excited for that. Now that school's closed. But that's all I have for the park.
Okay. And the roads,
On the roads,
I'll let
okay.
you start.
Year to date, we had 4 events. Last year, we had 7 to date. Our total our average totals have gone down from 39 to 35. Last year, we had 24 events for the year. The year before that, we had 19, which is our lowest ever. And our highest was 73 back in 2014. Hope that never happens again, but just wanted to give you some scenario on that. How many events we could have. We've been lucky,
Yeah.
and we're all ready for tomorrow. Lock and loaded, ready to go. It's gonna be a long day, but we're ready to go. I have some information. Dale and I talked about, in Boxwater Bay, there's some, outlots, 1, 2, 3, and 5. One of the homeowners were concerned about some bushes from the association. That's a private matter, but that brought up the maintenance on the particular ponds. There's 3 ponds in there. I mentioned that to the association president last year about getting those maintained. Nothing happened. We may have to step in sometime to make sure that gets done.
Alright,
I know there's stuff in the covenants that we town can step in and tell them that's gotta get done. We're like the police when it comes to that, the town is. So make sure the association does their job when it comes to maintaining those. The trees are getting quite big around those retention ponds. Kind of like some other ones that we know that are getting out of hand, but yeah, we're gonna have to maybe make some phone calls to the association and see what they have in mind, get that done. Best time to do that is in the winter. So you get the machines closer because it's frozen. But that just came forward from one of the homeowners. But I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention so everybody knows that really needs to get done there before it gets really, really big.
yeah,
Become a logging operation.
yeah.
Well, it could be. Madam Chair, you had some verbal information on the culvert on Kramer and.
Yeah, we,
Yeah, I've got a letter right here I was gonna bring up. This is from Johnny Humphrey, the office of Representative Robert Whitkey. You called and asked about the culvert at the intersection of Highway 36 and Kramer Drive. I have been in contact with WISDOT and confirmed that it is the state's responsibility, not the town's. So the people that we met with there were incorrect. So thank you for repairing it, but it should have been repaired by.
That's a
the
big deal,
state. So,
yes.
We send them a bill?
well, you probably should.
yeah.
Time and effort.
And then Kenny,
Another
anything
thing,
else? Go ahead.
this year's construction report that was mailed out, somehow got lost in the mail. It was remailed. I got confirmation today they have a second copy of the certified plat map and the construction and maintenance report in hand today.
That's for the roads you paved, that's for the roads paved this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Last year.
Well, last year, thank you.
Yeah.
The East Main, road aid, that's still in the county's hand. I left a message today. I didn't get the answer back from Frank. He's the engineer.
Pritzloff, yeah,
Yeah, because they're in charge of those funds to get dispersed.
okay.
1 ton should be here yet this week, hopefully. Hopefully we can get that between the snowfalls this week and get that exercised.
Yeah.
With that said, the last one will be, right with the Town Line Road project.
Yeah, so we're,
We did get the preliminary permit for the DNR stuff in the mail for that. They want to be involved in the construction, pre-construction meeting that we have, because it's within 1,000 feet of a lake east of, Town Line. I didn't even know there was a lake there, but there's a pretty big lake there. I don't even know how to pronounce the name.
Bissamani or something like that. I
Yes,
think,
yes,
yeah.
weird name. It's a pretty big lake, and I didn't even know it was there until I actually really looked at it. But yeah, they just want to be involved, invasive species and such. And that's all I have.
thank you, Kenny.
Then there's one other thing, we're still trying to set up a meeting with you and I and Zeke and Don with Boyda Park Road. We gotta get straightened around as to who applies for what part of the grant. If the state would give us a grant for Boyda Park Road, so we're working on
So
rescheduling.
everybody's up to speed. We did apply for that project. And then if we get approved, then the village would apply too. You both can apply, but we can't apply for their funding because it's 2 different envelopes, so to speak. One's town and one's village.
So we gotta get the engineer at the
It
meeting.
doesn't work the same way as it does with the 2 towns, Norway and us.
but it's close, they have to do their own.
Thank you, Kenny.
Oh, wait, then we got the safety manual to approve
Oh,
though.
we're
We
gonna
gotta
go,
go,
we're
we
gonna
gotta
go in
talk
order.
about allocation.
That one should probably be discussed in a different closed section meeting.
No,
Oh, I don't think that right warrant. So let's just stay in line here.
Okay, sorry. I
Allocate,
wanted-
allocation of funds for a town line road. We took out the loan, right, for that. So I believe that we should just use the loan proceeds for that. But any discussion on that?
What's the dollar amount again?
What's that?
What's the dollar amount again? I know the engineer costs and,
Ken, what's the dollar amount? Town
Yeah,
line?
is it what this is for?
I don't see it. Off the top of my head, what was it,
Payment
1 point?
for, the roads
Three?
graded this year, I think.
I don't have that with me, I didn't think I needed it tonight.
Yeah, but we get 80% of that return. That's the total cost, but Norway pays half and we pay half, so our cost wasn't one point
I
three.
think it was like three.
Three something.
Was it like
One
300
point.
and change?
Yes,
Okay.
300,000 it was, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, then I'm fine with agreeing for, if we talked about last year, we approved it a month before we went forward with it, so.
mhm.
it's a 76.7% grant.
Okay, so yeah.
Heather
I'll
just-
make a motion to approve the funds up to 350. I guess I like the exact number, but I don't have that, so I know it's about 350.
To come out of where?
Yeah, like
Out of
funds
the-
alone.
the loan funds, okay.
They would destroy the regular road repair budget this spring.
Thank you. Second on that?
I'll second it.
Any more discussion on that?
And we actually plan to begin, construction, beginning of April to mid-April.
Okay.
Right away.
All right, so I'm sorry, so we had a motion, we had to approve, second was
Yep, in a
Supervisor Gerke.
second. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Now the DPW policy and safety manual. We all have a copy of that. I'm gonna look specifically on page 1. What we wanted to do is just try to keep it easier. Instead of Kenny having to come all the time and saying, hey, can I have this for pants? Hey, can I have, just allocate some funds for them to use, to buy what they need. We don't have to babysit everything they do, right? That was the whole intent behind this. So right here, the employer shall provide our employees the following items of equipment. We're looking at safety things, right? Safety glasses, head protection, earplugs. I think the question was with the pants, the vests and the chaps, whether we provide that and then they get the extra funding, or, they get their funding, which I believe was like, that's 400 a year for, the stuff that they need to buy. Yeah,
Well, I think we can eliminate the chaps because I read through this and chaps are not required in here for anything. So I recommend that we eliminate the chaps.
okay.
And safety vests, I can see we could provide the employees with a safety vest, but when do you guys wear high-vis safety pants? Do you ever wear those?
We do have rain suits and they're high vis, yes, but it's ever so frequent that we do wear those.
But rain suits I don't see on here.
Well, they're high vis, yeah.
So you buy
I've
those?
been here almost 31 years, I've never had a
Paul,
pair
did you
on.
purchase those?
He's asking because it says high-vis vests, high-vis safety pants. Do you mean the high-vis rain
I would
gear?
have to say those would be rain pants, I've never had any summer pants, whatever you wanna call it when it comes to reflection.
Jim has a.
Sure, Jim?
And now we've seen in some of the other safety manuals we've looked at, that the high-vis pants, and then the county uses them for nighttime work. We have trees go down at night, and if you're out there by yourself, which we're trying to avoid, it is nice to have as much color on you as possible. But they will not get used a lot. But I think some of the other places have them, and I know the county requires them.
Yeah, but like the regular pants that you wear like on a daily basis.
No, these are just.
The regular shirt, that stuff,
These
right,
would be just, you pull them over your regular pants.
Yes.
yeah,
And they're light, and if you have, the rain pants are heavier, they're hot. If
Yeah.
you're out and it's not raining, you're gonna roast in them. So these other high-vis pants are very light. I don't know the prices, but it can't be much.
yeah,
I think we should pay to have them.
yeah. Do you guys ever wear safety chaps?
We have,
You have to be taken
it's
out.
pretty, it's been a long time since we ever put chaps on.
Most of our roadways are clear out, brush now.
So do you have high-vis pants now?
No, we've never had pants. We have rain suits that are high vis, but we never had any pants.
Do you recommend one pair for each employee or?
We can, like I say, they'll be ever so frequently used, but we could have those.
Can you get along with one pair and just whoever's there?
Like you
everybody's-
mentioned, for nighttime work, we don't work
Should
at
have
night.
raised two, because two people have to be out
Maybe for
there.
a tree potentially, but most of the time we do trees, it's bad weather, so I mean, if we do, we're gonna be getting wet. We still need both. One for rain, one for summer. The summer ones will be ever so frequent.
Okay, so everybody needs a pair of safety pants.
Could you get by with two pair?
It's because they have two pairs in the garage
You probably would, yeah.
for whoever's there and throw them on.
Depending how big.
For the, just the cloth summer ones, yeah, we can get by with two.
Because if you're going at night, you should have a second person with you, so, you know, just two people,
And you don't have any now in the department?
No,
Okay.
summer reflective night vision pants, no, we don't have any.
It's just
So we
more,
provide a vest for each employee,
Yeah, we
two
have
pair
those.
of high-vis safety pants for the department.
Yep.
And no safety chaps.
no chaps.
Rain suits should be included in there too.
So then with that, I'm assuming then with the extra 400 a year, you guys would buy your boots, all your regular pants, regular shirt, anything that you're gonna purchase, correct?
Are we adding rain suits in here? He just asked that.
You have rain suits?
Well, do we have rain suits now? I believe we have two so far. The newest one, Hopper doesn't have, I don't think he has a rain suit yet.
But yeah, they're old. Hopper doesn't have any in mind,
Yeah.
old. I don't know if they're good or not.
So but I'd have to get one set. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
well, this is going as part of the policy, so I think that we should decide it. So that
Yeah,
we're not
thank you.
making changes to the amendment or addendums all the time.
Yeah,
Memo of understanding.
Mhm.
So what are you recommending, Ken?
I just need to get one rain suit for one other guy.
Just
I
one,
already have rain suits.
so just one rain suit for the department?
No,
No.
one rain suit for my third
They
guy.
have two now, so it would be just for Hawker.
Yeah, so you need one rain suit.
Yeah, so basically, it would be a rain suit per employee.
Yes.
Yes.
and those would be basically kept at the garage,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And then
Mhm.
say Hocker leaves and somebody else comes, that new person would use that rain
If they fit
suit.
into it, yeah.
Yeah,
But it's going to read one per employee, so yes,
Yes.
Hawker is the only one that needs one, or one right now, but
yeah.
Yeah.
But it would should
things will
read that,
change over
yes.
time. Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, moving right along.
So safety glasses, earplugs, head protection, the high vis vest, high vis pants,
And rain
the
suit.
two pair for the department and the one rain suit, right?
Yep.
One vest per employee, right?
Yes.
Said yes. Okay, and then we've got, there was on that we have to decide on page 5, emergency non-snow plowing season call-in procedures. All summer call-ins are subject to overtime as outlined in the employee handbook. 2 policy options for us to consider: summer call-in. Weekdays, employee informs director if he's gonna be unavailable. Weekends, director to consult with employees on availability for the weekend hours. Then we've got the vacation 1, vacation 2. Or the option of the summer call-in mandatory on-call rotation. Employees will be required to be on call for 7 consecutive days. Employees to determine rotation schedule based on their availability. Town to provide phone. Employee on call has authority of taking calls and following the guidelines in the safety manual. Employee to be compensated for being on call regardless of being called in. So discussion on that. Ken, did you have anything to say about that, or Jim?
Yeah, Jim and I talked about it extensively today. We, went back and forth between A and B, and I think A would be the best scenario for us.
What's A?
A was the
Optional.
optional one.
I just got this today, so I'm here. especially the second part.
Required to be on call for 7 days. Just to me, requiring to be on call for 7 days, it's kind of a long time, isn't it? Be on call?
Yeah, because keep in mind,
They got that here.
we don't have any, money set aside for on-call.
So basically A,
What's that?
so basically that would be A.
So you have to then decide, correct? I mean, you have to decide then what you're gonna pay us to be on call, correct?
Right,
If we go
That's
with
another
B,
issue, isn't it?
yeah, yes.
So that, along with summer and the winter, I don't know if you guys are gonna delve into the winter tonight. Both have a lot of extra questions that haven't been really adjusted to Hocker or myself yet. We had agreed with everything for the safety side of this. And if you're looking at the last two, they're caught a little off guard. Not so much the summer one, we threw some options out there, but you guys are gonna have to decide then, if we're gonna do call-in, how is that gonna work?
Snow plowing?
Snow plowing too, because you say in there you want, in the snow plowing section, you want us to be on call basically mid-November through all of March, that's 4.5 months straight. Are we on call-in for 24/7 for 4.5 months, and if we are, what are our options? We've gone down this road years ago also, and they said you can't hold us for 4.5 months without vacation or the ability to go to a wedding or some other funeral or some other.
or you're having surgery.
Or surgery, sick time is kind of covered, but there's a lot of questions there yet before you can approve that I would have.
I make a motion we table just to get the questions answered.
Do you see motion to table?
Table this until we get clarification. Am I on call for all my employees? If there's 3 guys in the department for the summer, 1 guy's on call every other week, I give them a $25 stipend if they have to get called. If they get no calls, they get $25. If they get a call in, they get basically their time and a half or whatever it is coming in.
What would be helpful if we had just had a meeting with all of us, with my liaison Dale, and we.
Yeah, I would hammer it out because there's a lot of questions that,
We not just
like Tim just brought up, you know, I mean, I don't,
Yeah, see, I thought this was I think Heather and I were in the impression that this was already done.
Yeah,
well,
Yeah,
but I
I
think that,
second his motion, but I would like to just table it then for 1 month, so that we put a time.
yeah, make sure we get it done, okay?
If he's agreeable to that.
I made a
Is that-
motion,
is
you
that okay?
second it?
Yeah, but I would like to
For a
see
month.
1 month.
What are we gonna decide? I'm fine with that.
I got,
The motion is to table it for 1 month, and we have so by Tim, we have a second by Doug.
okay, I'd like a discussion item. Under availability, the second bullet, 4th line and 5th line, because this is a basic job requirement, there will be no standby pay during the snow plowing season for snow event work. This is the way it's always been. When anybody gets hired, you know that you don't take vacations. I know Perry was always bugged because he liked to go snowmobiling. I think, you know, today there's really good weather forecasting. I mean, they've been predicting this storm tomorrow for a week and a half. I think if somebody has a wedding to go to and the forecast looks like it's gonna be clear, I think, you know, talk to the superintendent. I'm sure that you could attend a wedding. But, this has always been the policy that if you're hired in the DPW, it's a basic job requirement that you're gonna be, unfortunately,
I don't think that's a fair ask at all. People have lives. If you're not gonna miss your daughter's wedding because it's snowing.
That's why we have part-time people.
Exactly.
And we also, that was true when I started, you had that in the handbook, but then you talked about the Perry issue. He wanted to go snowmobiling on the weekends, and then he was never allowed to. At that time, the supervisor came in by us, and we changed that. And he said, you guys gotta be able to go on vacation, and we haven't really run it that way since.
well, but see, a supervisor doesn't have the authority to
I
change
know.
anything.
But
And there's
that's,
several things that have been changed by a supervisor that weren't approved by the board.
Kenny?
Discussion with the winter thing that we're talking about. Remember, we went from 4 to 3. We had 4, we had that opportunity. Now we only have 3. Now we're minus, it's really hard to have two people part-time available when I only have one really part-time person that can really answer the phone.
Motion to
That's-
table. We can
That's
be on
the
this all
part
night.
we're talking about.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So,
It's tough.
Okay, well then, whatever questions there are, be sure that those questions are in writing to the board well before the meeting.
Yeah,
So,
well, that's why we would
A
like to
minimum
have
of
a
2
meeting
weeks prior.
and discuss a few things.
well, we need the questions in writing before we have any meeting, so.
okay, so we have a motion to table it for a month and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, oh yeah, and the Christmas tree disposal, Kenny, we're having people, but just drop them off at the dump.
Yep, they can drop the Christmas trees off at the recycling center.
Okay, and maybe buy a fake tree next year. Does it look like the DNR is gonna be picking
There's
up?
a whole 8
I
of
think
them
it's pick up
on
trees,
Saturday,
yeah.
so it's not a big deal.
Has
but
the town
just-
expressed its displeasure with GFL for dumping that on us at the last minute? Because that is an
Oh.
awful thing to do. Milwaukee got a whole pile of grief for making that announcement a week prior to Christmas.
Yeah.
We did it a week after Christmas.
Yeah, I
That is,
think-
that is awful customer
I think the
service.
problem was that it wasn't really in their contract.
Well,
either,
I
right?
did speak to, Jason Johnson. They ended up calling. They were like, well, we did tell you. I'm like, on the 21st, only after I reached out to you to ensure that the procedure was the same
Yeah.
as previous years. Now, there is a cost for those polls. So, they offered to, credit us one poll. So my thought process was if we can keep that one bin as empty as possible and we can get it into one poll, would be good because it wouldn't cost us any money.
Since we only had 8 of them there this last weekend, 8 or 9.
Yeah, but I have a feeling that's not where it's gonna end, but maybe it will. But I just want the board to be aware it's about $200 to $250 each
Because
time we
that
have.
poll is
So-
not
so-
cheap.
machines.
So if we take them there, can you guys like chip them right away? So we have room?
We'll be able to chip until spring. Cause we don't have anything to, bring the chipper out there, but, for those couple of few trees that we get, we could put them aside and chip them in the spring if we needed to, but, for the 8 trees that we get, I don't think it's applicable to switch all the equipment over to bring up, chip 8 trees when there's 30-yard dumpster sitting right next to it that can fit, 150 trees.
Mhm.
It's
Well,
just
the
not-
reason why I brought it up is because Green for Life didn't think you could fit that many trees in one of those. That's the only, I'm just letting the board aware that,
In a dumpster?
yeah. But if you guys say so, I'm gonna leave
Well, we
it.
pack it with a machine though.
This really hasn't been an issue, and I don't think the garbage company's ever picked them up before.
Yeah, they did for
Yeah.
years, with regular garbage. That was because of Milwaukee Milwaukee.
Well, you give them to the goat farmers.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
I do have some information regarding the recycling center, since we're on that. The recycling's been way down. Recycling's down 11 dumpsters for the, cold mingle. Next to nothing, since we got the big dumpsters. Cardboard's way down, 27 dumpsters. 27 dumpsters lower than last year.
And that's how we lose
The only
money.
uptick is just garbage. Garbage uptick, 4 dumpsters. That's it.
And we don't earn money on garbage. We earn money on our recycling, so we will lose our grant money if our recycling keeps falling down. Now, I don't know if people are just throwing it out in the garbage. I don't understand.
Well, we got the bigger bins.
It should be an increase in it, but
Right.
But you said we got bigger bins now for recycling? Oh, for at the houses?
No, at the
yeah.
houses.
Yeah.
All that stuff that's in there now.
so every year I have to,
On my
Yeah.
Amazon goes into that big.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
but I have to,
I always have more recycling than garbage.
report the tonnage and we have consecutively been falling year after year. To the point where eventually we might just lose out on the grant money.
yeah,
Okay.
To no fault of the town board, be the people,
yeah.
not recycling.
All right, let's move along. Old business. Discussion and action, I don't think we ever really quite finished or something was murky on the keeping of certain animals. I spoke with Mike and we talked about it and I think he was talking about just the language in the beginning. No person shall keep livestock in any parcel of land 3 acres or less in size. We're talking about the wide domestic animals normally used for farm. Horses, cattle, mules, donkeys, sheep, obviously not including chickens. We've got the chicken ordinance. This does not include dog, cats, or any small animals normally kept as pets. I think we just wanted to make that clear. We took out the going to jail.
Yep, you have a jail-free card.
Yeah. Again, I don't think anyone's ever gone to jail for having a dog, but we just want to make it clear. So everyone has a copy of that. Are there any questions or discussion on that?
Well, we have two different ones.
Yeah, I think the one that when we talked to Mike about, we went with the no parcel having less than 3 acres in size, maybe used to keep.
I guess my question on that would be, what's the purpose of having zoning if we're gonna base things off of parcel size? If somebody were to move into the town and buy a home on a property zoned A2 or A3, they're in an agricultural district. And according to Racine zoning ordinance, they are allowed to do all the things in a one district. So they look up those zoning ordinances, they go get a couple of goats, and then the town of Waterford, a conservative board, comes in and says, you can't have those goats. You're on agricultural land. It's only 2 acres, no goats for you. So
I don't think you can have cattle on an A1, on an A2.
is a small ruminant, is that considered cattle?
What,
A small ruminant, is that considered to be cattle?
small ruminant?
Yes, like a goat.
I wouldn't have the foggiest, but I know you can't keep cattle on a 40,000 square foot lot. I'm not saying that's perfect, but that's the way the zoning ordinance is. That's why I said zone resident. And again, I'm not commenting on the rest of the wording here.
Yeah.
Because my only comment last month was on the classification zoned A2
Mhm,
versus zoned residential, excuse me, zoned agriculture.
mhm.
So I don't make any comment on the rest of it. But my point is, agriculture unfortunately can go from 40,000 square feet to 35 acres.
Mhm.
And that's the problem. A3 is 35 acres too, by the way. A1 is 35 acres. A2, 40,000 square feet. So my only point is this. I don't know of any other way to do it except to go by lot size.
Mm.
That's the only point I'm giving. I make no other comment whether this is a good ordinance or a bad ordinance or whatever.
Yeah, I think we do have a lot of A2,
We have
and
tons.
some subdivisions are A2. I can't
The old ones
imagine.
are.
I can't imagine somebody saying, oh, I've got A2s, I've got 40,000 square feet, so I'm gonna bring a cow or a horse or donkeys. I mean, we'd have no end of problems with manure and smells and noise. 4 chickens, I can say fine.
Well, you know, one other thing I was gonna say, Bob, too, that, some of our zoning is 3 acres or more. Residential, I think our residential non-sewer, because Dale's the expert on lot size. if I
Yeah,
remember
we've got
right.
R1 is 5 acres.
Yeah, I mean, you could have residential, that's why that isn't so bad going from 5 to 3 acres. But
Right.
going from 35 acres to 40,000 square feet. And again, this is,
Yeah,
if you're gonna do this ordinance at all, if you're gonna,
Well, if it were to me, we wouldn't, so there's that.
I mean, if you're gonna do this ordinance, then I think it's good the way it's written, if you're gonna do it.
yeah, we just basically wanted to amend, you know, what was there to make it more clear.
It's already an existing ordinance. It was just a matter of, it said no parcels of land residential nor any parcels of land less than 30, whether they're agricultural or not, 3 acres in size. But then we allowed the chickens, so we had to kind of like adjust for
But you
that.
cover that with another ordinance.
Yeah, and we,
That was
yeah, we
covered.
included that in up to 4 chickens are allowed subject to obtaining a permit. So we
Yeah, so
put
there's
that in
another
there.
ordinance that covers chickens.
You know, we wanted to be clear about the dog and cat. You know, we just wanted to clean up the old ordinance. So we get stuck on the zoning and the
You can
land
always
size.
we've done this before. You can pass an ordinance probationary. Effective for 1 year, subject to review after a year. You can always do that. You don't have to make it a permanent ordinance.
Leave it the way it is.
If you're going with this ordinance, I would not put the up to 4 chickens allowed in there. I would refer back to the chicken ordinance. That way, if you amend the chicken ordinance, you only have to amend 1.
True. So we'll just put down, chickens are allowed subject to applicant obtaining a permit. And not up to
Subject to
4.
the chicken ordinance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Check that on subject to the chicken.
whatever number that is.
All right,
Okay, so can,
yeah, just chickens are allowed, subject to applicant obtaining a permit.
are we leaving the ordinance as it currently stands? Or are we looking at the modified?
There hasn't been a motion.
Oh, okay. My brain's just.
Any other?
I'll move to approve the modified ordinance with the changes that are deleting residentially zoned parcel and rewording that and changing the chicken line the way it was stated.
Just to say, just chickens are allowed, not up to 4. We just want to make sure we're clear.
Chickens are allowed per ordinance so-and-so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how would you want the first part to be read? I just want to be clear. So no parcel of land,
Yeah, this is the way it is. No parcel of land having less than 3 acres in size, nor any residentially zoned parcel.
okay,
Yeah,
okay. And then, yeah, we can revisit it if it doesn't work.
Great.
yeah, I mean, it's been on the books for
Who's the
decades.
animal warden?
That doesn't make.
What's, yeah.
Who's gonna be the animal warden?
We don't have one.
I think our acting
Again,
chief-
this is something that just someone brought up that never really made a difference, so, okay. So, you had a motion,
So that's a motion.
second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any more discussion?
Yes, ma'am. I'm concerned about how much time this board spends, this self-proclaimed conservative board spends telling people what they can't do with their property.
Amen.
Well, we're just trying to amend an ordinance that was already on the book to make it make more sense. And if we need to revisit it, we'll revisit it. So first and second, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Oh, I'm sorry, opposed. Okay. Doug?
Yes. Neither do we of us.
Next, the streetlight pole, and I would like to let Dale tell us
Good
about
job, Dale.
this. I think Dale is, oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
Regarding the light, just a quick, that's not even our intersection.
Let Dale.
well, hold on, just,
What
hold
was he
on.
saying?
You're gonna pass one of these down to
Oh,
everybody?
sure.
Well, last month I had mentioned I had talked to our county DPW head, and he referred me to Frank Pritzloff, our engineer for Racine County. Well, I'll just read this, Dale, good talking with you. Racine County would like to partner with the town in illuminating the subject intersection. Second paragraph, Racine County will pay for the new luminaire arm bulb and initial installation. From that point, the town of Waterford would pay for all maintenance associated with the light as well as the monthly electrical charges, which I believe are $15, right, Tina?
Mhm.
The light would be installed with the town of Waterford listed as owner. Let me know if that's your understanding and pass along the We Energies quote and diagram, which Tina did send to him. So if the board approves this, and the map is here that shows where the pole is, the reason the cost went up a little bit is because they only have primary power on that pole where the light's gonna go, so they have to go 155 feet, several poles down to get secondary power and run a wire back to illuminate that pole. So it's a really good deal. The county will pay the $1,050. Yeah, 1619. I think it might even be a little bit less than that, but that's would be the monthly charge for us. And if a bulb needs replacing in the future, that would be on us. So I think this is a great deal for us, so.
I'll make a motion to approve the light.
Second.
Is there a second?
Yep.
Thank you. Any more discussion? Thank you, Dale, for working on that, for getting that done for us. All in favor?
Aye.
I oppose? None. All right. New business. We need to move the August 12th town board to after the planning commission on August 5th due to election. Can I have a motion on that, please?
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Second,
second it.
any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, general office employees clothing allowance, kind of like the same thing. We're trying to get everybody effective January 1st of this year. The employer shall reimburse each full-time employee who has completed a 6-month probationary period and is not covered by separate employment agreement, $200 a year for clothing allowance. And we talked about things like, and I know Tina, you and Heather were looking at, what are those called? Logos.
You're right. we're not looking at like to reimburse like from polls. It's to like buy a ton of Waterford shirt that
Yeah,
people
like
wear
a
on election
sweater
day
or
or sweat.
something with Town of
Mhm.
Waterford.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that I don't know if she's settled on one, but they were looking at logos
Mhm.
for the Town of Waterford.
Yeah.
I
just
know
wanna make
my
it
daughter,
clear,
when she worked at the
wouldn't be like
bank, she
jeans
had
or
the
sneakers.
sweaters with the bank on it. So that's what we're looking to do. So can I have a motion on that?
I'll
or
make a
any
motion to approve
questions?
the $200. to get
I'll
on
second it.
miscellaneous expenses.
All right, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and then we had a Wisconsin Cyber Alliance discussion at the RCICC. So basically, I was confused at first. I thought that they wanted to sign us to sign this letter saying that, yes, we want to be in on this. All we're doing is, this is a letter of interest. They were going to do an initial assessment. Normally, the initial assessment would cost money. They're taking care of that. They just want to take a look at, what cybersecurity we have, what cybersecurity the municipalities around us have, to see if there's something that we can do together that would make sense, that would protect us, that would save us money. So by signing this letter, all we're saying is, sure, we'd like you to look into this, do some discovery, see what comes of it. After that, we can decide, they can say, hey, we can do this and it'll cost this much. Then we'll come back to the table and take a look at that. I think in this day and age, it's a really good idea to have that cybersecurity. I know that we've got a ton of things. I know Tim keeps getting messages from me, saying, I want stuff. Can you buy me a gift card? I have a,
Madam Chair, is this
favor.
a private company that's doing this?
This is,
Tony.
yeah,
Well,
this is something that the county and we're all going in together. So all this is doing is an initial assessment of what it would be. So if I sign this, it's just saying, sure, take a look at it, see what it would be, and we'll go from there.
I would like to state though that, one side of me thinks that this is great, but I also have to contact Wisconsin Elections as well. Because if it's involving cyber, because they have their own security, like when I use the list vote, so. But like you said, this will just be to look into it, right?
Sure, yeah, all we're doing is looking into it. If we don't like it, then we don't like it. We don't have to do anything.
And it clearly states that they're providing this at no cost to the members, so.
Yep, so it doesn't cost us anything to find out what it is. So can I have a motion, please?
Go ahead.
Second?
Oh, who motion? I'm sorry.
Oh, did you say a motion? No. Can I have a motion on this?
I'll move to approve the chair signing this letter of interest for Wisconsin Cyber Alliance.
I'll second it.
Okay, any more discussion?
I have some concern about the email that we got this afternoon answering questions. It says that once we sign that, we are officially a member, a part of the consortium.
Yeah, and I just talked to Delagrave and Travis today. At consortium, all it is we'll be in the discovery phase. So they're just gonna take a look at it, look at what we can do, come back to us with all the information, and then we'll decide from there.
My concern with all of it is that no part of it has said no obligation. So you take this $11,500 assessment.
Well, I know that we did receive an email, Tina, from them, correct? And I received an email from them, so I will make sure that that's available for everyone.
I wonder if we could add that to the
Yeah.
letter, that this isn't obligating the
Not
town.
non-binding, and the town is not obligated to continue.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
yeah.
think that's a great.
Because I'd hate to find out that we are now part of this thing and they will sue us if we decide that we don't want to go forward with their $50,000 plan for cybersecurity.
Because when I read it, that's what I thought it was.
Okay, so we can write on there
Change that
that,
wording,
yeah,
Add a line on there before
Yeah.
respectfully.
okay. All right. So the motion, the second, that discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright. Okay, and then just my report, obviously, we all know, who's left here, that we hired a full-time officer. The police chief, right now, we are working with the Wisconsin Police Chiefs Association. I'm talking with Sean Marski this week. We're going to set up a panel with the Police Chiefs Association. That panel will interview, and they'll give us a few to look at from there, and we'll take it from there. And as we all know, Lieutenant Chesky is the officer, or the lieutenant in charge, in the meantime. And, yeah, and I said something about, oh, yeah, no, okay, Lieutenant Chesky, you're our guy for the meantime, so we will keep everybody in, you know, the know of what's going on. This is, as we move this along with the interviews and everything, so. And you know, I wanted to say something about the parking, because we had talked about the parking before. We had talked about, you know, we're just enforcing our parking ordinances, and anytime a establishment has a special event, they contact us, they provide us with the plan. We will then, you know, okay the plan or not okay the plan, and then go from there. Because it really isn't the town's job to decide a plan for everyone of what they want to do. If someone wants to have a special event, they can come up with the plan. We will, with the police department, decide what will work and what won't work, and we'll go about it that way.
Right now, we've always, the parking is, there is no parking on town roads.
Are we repealing that ordinance then?
No.
What's that?
Are we repealing the no parking ordinance?
No, we're enforcing a no parking ordinance, but I'm saying if something comes up and there's a special event where somebody has a question, they will have to come to us and we will have to.
But we've always had an issue with the enforcement of it because we need to have signage on all the main entrances in the town in order to enforce this ordinance that we have. And we don't have that signage, and I would like to see the signage,
And I've gotten calls from watering hole saying, why are we parking on the north side? Why aren't we parking on the south side? So we'll pick that up when it comes to it. We're just enforcing our parking ordinance.
I just remember Chief Ditchite, former Chief Ditchite, always said it had to just be like when you first come in, don't shoot the messenger.
right, and then we don't have that.
It needs to be like when you first come into the town.
Right.
Like I know my subdivision it does, like right when you pull in, it says no
Well,
parking.
we did have it, it might have been taken down, but all the entrances were posted when that ordinance passed years ago.
Right. Years ago.
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember when we're taking it down.
Right, almost across from Brexit, just like no fishing, no ice fishing, for example.
I think you're
If you post it and someone rips it down, you've done your duty as posting it, that's all I'm saying. Not a problem with putting it back up again, but if someone rips it down, this police not liable for that,
Right,
that's all I'm saying.
yeah.
Okay, I just wanted
But there needs to be clarity, though. The ordinance very clearly says there is no parking on town roads.
Yeah,
yeah.
That is
So
the,
we're just
clear
following the
statement.
ordinance. What I'm trying to say is because I've gotten so many calls. If there's questions, complaints, we'll just take things up, you know, as they come up. And then they'll have to maybe apply for special events and then we'll figure that out there.
The ordinance doesn't have any leeway for special events. That ordinance needs to be addressed because it very clearly says there's no parking on town roads.
Right, so right now we're just enforcing the ordinance that we have.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying in my little chat report that that's come up a million times. I've gotten a ton of phone calls, so that's something that we have to work on as far as maybe creating something for special events, that they would have to come to us with an okay for a certain side of the street or whatever. It's nothing that's on the agenda, it's something I'm just chatting about that's out there.
Just so you know, Supervisor, we have had in effect, the chief of police grants permission for these events, and people have been calling for years, and the chief gives it.
And that should be codified is my point. I'm not opposed to that. It needs to be codified.
And if it also needs to be
I didn't
approved
want
by
you to
the
think we
chair of
just
the
said
town
no.
board, then that
Yeah.
needs to be in there too.
No, my issue is not with you, it's with the ordinance.
All right, so good, all right. May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. What are we?
It's snowing soon.
7, yeah.
The record for motion to adjourn.